In Brazil, an entire country votes on a Sunday. By that same night, a couple of hours after the polls close, we know who won. 150 million votes, counted and confirmed. Meanwhile, the richest country on the earth is still counting. Days later, same century, completely different system. And the reason isn't trust, it's product design. Let me show you. Here's the first thing the rest of the world gets wrong about Brazil's voting machine. They picture something complicated. It's the opposite actually. You walk in, you type a number, like a candidate's jersey number. The screen shows you the name and the photo of who you just picked. Green button to confirm, orange to fix it. That's the whole interface. No touchscreen menus, no scrolling, no pages. A kid could use it. Your grandmother could use it. That was the requirement, not a nice to have. And that simplicity wasn't an accident, it was a constraint. Back in the 90s, Brazil had millions of voters who could barely read. Paper ballots meant slow counting and worst, easy fraud. And sometimes even we had people kind of forcing people to vote on a given profile and then show the paper. So the design brief was brutal. Build something a person who can't read can use in 10 seconds. Something a country the size of a continent can deploy everywhere. Number, photo, green button. That's what falling in love with the constraint looks like. Brazil rolled this out in 1996. 30% of voters that year, about 33 million people, voted on a screen. By the year 2000, the entire country was voting electronically. One of the first nations on earth to go fully electronic at scale. Think about that timeline. Brazil digitalized its entire democracy before most of the world had smartphones. Later, they added biometrics and your fingerprint tied to your voter record. You put your finger on a reader, the machine confirms it really you, and only then does it unlock. So one person can't vote for another. The machine itself isn't smart, it's deliberately, beautifully dumb. It does one job the same way everywhere in the whole country. And that's exactly the point. So how do you go from 150 million votes to a result before dinner's over? Well, this is where centralization stops being a dirty word. Every machine is offline the entire day. No internet, no network, sealed. When voting ends, each one does two things. It prints a paper receipt of its own totals, right there at the polling place, taped to the wall for anyone to photograph. And it writes an encrypted digitally signed file of those same totals. Then those files get transmitted to a central tally center and added up. That's it. No hand counting millions of paper ballots. No, let's see what the mail brings tomorrow. And here's the part that surprises people. That printed receipt taped to the wall, it is public. Anyone, any party, any citizen can photograph it and add the numbers up themselves. The official total and the receipts on the walls have to match. In 2022, 156 million voters, the biggest electorate in our history, the presidential result was mathematically locked in less than 3 hours after polls closed. Back in 2010, with 135 million voters, it took about 75 minutes. 75 minutes for the result of a country bigger than the continental United States. The Washington Post called the reason uncomplicated. One voting day, one electronic ballot, machines everywhere. When the whole system is one standardized product, counting is just addition. Now, if you're an American, your alarm is going off. Electronic, no paper, that sounds insane, right? Let me give you the honest version, both halves. Here's the part critics skip. This is one of the most audited voting systems on the planet. The source code is open for its inspection months before the election. By parties, by the Bar Association, by prosecutors, by the armed force, by universities. There's a public security test where outside hackers are literally invited to attack the machines. In the last big one, they found weak points, 5 of them, but no successful attack on the software that runs the vote or stores it. And the findings get fixed before the real election. Encryption end-to-end, digital signatures, a hardware security module as the root of trust. And the machine never touches the internet. There's even one more check on election day itself. Machines are pulled at random in public in front of cameras. People vote on them by hand with paper, and the totals get compared to what the machine reports. It's the closest thing to catching the system lying in real time. But here's the part Brazilian officials don't love to dwell on. There's a real trade-off, and I'm not going to pretend there isn't. Brazil's machine does not give you a voter-verified paper trail. There's no little slip of paper that you, the voter, check with your own eyes. And that's mainly because the reason I told you guys earlier about the voter come back into their community and being forced to show that they voted for the person they were forced to. So it can be recounted by hand independently of the machine. That printed receipt at the polling place, it's the machine own total, no more. If the software were wrong, the receipt would be confidentially wrong too. A lot of countries and most US states went the other way. Keep the paper the human verified. Brazil Congress even tried to force a printed vote into law, because guess who were trying to do that? Yeah, the Electoral Court fought it and won, of course. So this is a genuine product decision with a genuine cost. Speed and simplicity on one side, independent physical accountability on the other. You don't get both for free. Brazil picked a side and the US picked the other. So here's the question that will be in the comments. Why don't the Americans just do this? And the answer is the most interesting part. It's not that the US is dumb, not at all. It is that the US is built differently at the architecture level. Brazil runs on one national election system, one authority, one machine, one standard, top to bottom, sometimes not one, but like up to 5 or 6, not more than that. The United States runs more than 10,000 separate election jurisdictions. That's not a bug to Americans. Sorry about my mistake there, guys. To them, that decentralization is the security feature. It is really hard to rig 10,000 different systems at once. The cost of that design is exactly what you see. Slow counts and fines that drag on for days. Did you count right? And blah, blah, blah. Brazil made the opposite bet. Centralize everything and you get speed and trust because the system is solid. But no, and yeah, all your trust sits on one technical authority, and if people stop trusting that authority, the whole design gets questioned at once. That's the flip side of centralizing. One point of speed is also one point of pressure. Two systems, two completely different sets of fears. One optimized for speed and a clean user experience, the other for physical and auditability and spreading the risk around. Neither one is the right answer. They are answers to different questions. And honestly, that's why this is so interesting to me. You're looking at the same problem, voting, solved two completely opposite ways and both work. Both have a price. Here's what I actually want you to take from this, as someone who builds products every day. Brazil didn't get a faster election because Brazilians are smarter or more trusting. They got it because in the 90s they treated voting as a product problem. They picked one metric to win, reliable speed at national scale, and then made every single decision in service of that metric, trade-offs and all. That's the whole game. Constraints, one clear priority, and the discipline to live with the cost of your choice. The US made a different bet, for its own good reasons, and it pays a different price. Neither country is broken, they just optimize for different things. This is the kind of thing you only really see when you're standing inside the system, not reporting on it from far away. And in October, the whole world's going to watch Brazil do it again. 150 million people one Sunday, a result by nightfall. Watch how fast it happens, and you know exactly why right now. I build products from inside this ecosystem, and there's a lot out there the outside world just doesn't see yet. So stick around, I'll keep showing you everything if you consider subscribing.